Hello there, it's Jonathan from howtowebinar.com, and in this video we've got a guest expert who's going to explain 3 really important presentation tips. Gabrielle Dolan is owner and co-director of OneThousandAndOne.com.au. She's kindly written a guest blog for us, so if you're watching on YouTube, just check out the link in the description of the video. Now, when you're running a webinar, it's so important that you keep your audience engaged, especially if you're using a webinar to make an offer, because it's essential that your audience is actually still on the presentation at the end so they can hear your offer. So thanks so much, Gabrielle, for coming on the line with me. The first thing you wrote about in the blog is the importance of the introduction. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, certainly, Jonathan. Look, one of the things we see so often when people are presenting is they waste the first few minutes on just housekeeping and telling people where the toilets are and taking them through the boring type of stuff. Where really, to have them at a low, that first minute or so is the really critical thing where you can get your audience on side with you and you can sort of signal to them that, hey, this is going to be an interesting conversation. So our first tip is all about saying, spend some time thinking about what the audience would be thinking, and see if you can use a little story or even just use some humour to, get the audience on side and get them thinking, hey, this could be interesting. We do a lot of work with senior leaders, and I remember one of the senior leaders at a bank who was doing a roadshow, and we asked him, what does he think that his audience will be thinking? And he goes, well, I know I would always be thinking, here we go, not another bloody roadshow. So, that's what he opened with. He just sort of said, when I was on the other side of the fence, I'd be sitting there and I'd be thinking, not another roadshow. And it just got the audience on side. It was something different. So the first tip is all about really having them at hello.
So I'm Jerry Maguire and I have her at hello. What do I need to do next?
On one hand, it's so simple, but it's really hard to do, is prioritise what you say. So regardless of whether you're talking for 5 minutes or an hour, what is the 1 or 2, 3 at the very most, but the 1 or 2 key messages you want people to go away with? Again, so many times people say, but I've got 8 messages and they're all really important. But, the reality is, no one is going to remember those 8 messages. They're only going to remember 1 or 2 things. So we often ask people, what do you want people to either think, feel, or do differently after they've spoken to you, and really prioritise those 1 or 2 messages. And then your next step with that prioritising your messages, we because we specialise in storytelling, we say try to have a story around those 1 or 2 messages, because ultimately it's the story that people remember. And if it's tied to your key messages, that's what they'll remember.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit more about that storytelling?
When you use stories to get your message across, people not only have a better chance of understanding it, they also remember it and they can retell it. And really, when you're talking about presenting and communicating information, your key challenges are, do people really, really understand it? Will they remember it? And can they retell it without losing its meaning? And through story, you can get traction on all those 3 things.
Well, thanks so much for that, Gabrielle. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, check out the link in the video description for Gabrielle's full blog post. And look, let us know in the comments if you've got any other good presentation tips too. Gabrielle's ebook, it's called Eliminate Death by PowerPoint. It can be downloaded at OneThousandAndOne.com.au. And don't forget too, if you'd like to sit in on a fantastic training that shows you how to make sales of your products or your services from a webinar presentation, go and check out howtowebinar.com/online training.